Did the Lakers just line up the one move that bends two timelines into one? LeBron's need for rings right now and the franchise's need for a decade-long runway? Or are we staring at another mirage that melts the moment it gets too close to reality? Ask yourself this before you scroll. If you could drop a 7-footer with flamethrower spacing into a half-court that sometimes feels like rush hour traffic, would you do it even if the price was the city's favorite role player, a stack of picks, and the comfort of continuity? Because that's the heart of the rumor pulsing through the league tonight. A 3-team construction that delivers Lauri Markkanen to Los Angeles and dares the rest of the West to keep up. It's the kind of deal that makes GMs text each other at midnight, the kind of idea that forces coaching staffs to rewrite their closing playbook, and the kind of narrative that throws gasoline on our fan base's split-screen debate. Go all in for LeBron's present, or protect the young superstar's arc and let the future breathe. What if this is finally both? Here's the part most people miss when they reduce it to star in, depth out. Lauri changes geometry. That's not blog talk. That's how defenses actually tilt in the final 6 minutes. Put a 40% shooter at 7 feet on the weak side and watch a help defender take half a step too far toward the nail. That half step is a driving angle, a pocket pass, a dunk, a dagger 3, a season changer in a building that lives for Tuesday night drama and June parades. He's not a name, he's a spacing engine. And engines make everything around them hum. LeBron's pace control, the young superstar's surgical pick and roll, AD's short roll reads, even the roll, guys who find oxygen in the corners. When you imagine our best 5 closing a playoff game, do you see bodies stacked in the paint or space measured in fear? That's the question this deal tries to answer. Rewind the decision tree. Los Angeles is juggling 2 clocks. One is merciless. Carved into history by a 40-year-old immortal who still bends games with tempo, angles, and an IQ that sees the future before you blink. The other is a sunrise. Youth, usage, data-driven development. A superstar's prime stretched over the next 10 springs. Most franchises lean one way and pray. The rumor on the table dares to thread both. Lauri as the bridge. Off-ball gravity today, scalable co-star tomorrow. He plays nice with stars who demand the ball because he doesn't need a dribble to matter. But if you switch and strand him with a guard, he will put the ball on the deck, take 2 long strides, and make you pay. That duality is why front offices whisper the word fit like it's sacred. Picture the lab work. JJ and the staff spitballing sets on a whiteboard, wiping, redrawing, smiling. Empty corner pick and roll where Lauri lifts late from the dunker spot to erase the tag. Spain action with Lauri as the back screener who slips to the arc, forcing the big to choose between the rim and a 27-foot problem. Horns twist where LeBron triggers the first screen, then flows into a delay action at the top while Lauri drags the weak side help out of the paint. 5 out with AD at the 5, Lauri in the slot, and the young superstar rejecting the pick because the low man is glued to a 7-footer standing 3 feet behind the line. You can almost hear a visiting coach mutter, "We can't cover both. Now, breathe and acknowledge the cost." Depth is not a buzzword. It's the difference between a Tuesday in Memphis and a Thursday in Denver when legs feel heavy and whistles feel random. Trading a beloved connector who hits big shots, organizing wings who defend their yard, and kids with upside that keeps you sane in January. That hurts. Picks are oxygen in the new CBA. Future flexibility is a real asset. And Lauri's defense isn't rim deterrence. You're betting that spacing and efficiency on one end plus scheme competence on the other is worth more than drop coverage standouts who shrink the floor on offense. That's not fantasy talk. It's sober calculus. The Lakers have to choose whether the half-court issues we saw under bright lights are solved more by gravity than by size. Let's talk roles, not names, because roles win in April. If this happens, The closing five becomes a chessboard with no bad squares. LeBron toggles between heliocentric surgeon and ghost screener, who knives into switches. The young superstar sees two defenders pick a poison every time he snakes a screen. AD eats as a diver, a short roll playmaker, a hidden handoff guard in delay sets that weaponize his passing. Lauri lives in the slot and weak side wing, punishing late closeouts, attacking tilted help with two dribbles and a long stride, and functioning as a secondary handoff hub when teams try to top-lock our stars. The result? A different kind of inevitability. Not we'll bully you, but we'll pull your strings until your rotation is a beat late, and then it's over. Defense? This isn't about pretending Lauri is a rim protector savant. It's about building a system where he doesn't have to be. Stash him on the lesser forward, switch late clock to keep him out of rotations, use scram switches when smalls. Get buried on the block and lean on AD to erase sins behind the curtain. The real key is what you get back. If you're securing 1.2 points per possession in your best lineups because the floor is finally spaced like a modern contender, you can absorb a little less wow at the rim as long as your shell is connected and your defensive rebounding doesn't leak. The staff's job becomes matchup triage. Pick your poison, then live with the math. We also have to talk psychology because banners aren't just tactics, they're emotion management. A move like this sends a message to the locker room that the front office is not sleepwalking. For veterans, it says, "We see your window." For the superstar in his prime, it says, "We're building your ecosystem." For the role guys, it says, "Roles will be loud, precise, and real." For the league, it says, "You must guard 94 feet of uncertainty." This is why rumors like this catch fire, not because fans love transactions, they do, but because the right talent unlocks a culture, and culture is the difference between a funky week in January and a losing streak that eats the season. All right, mid-roll truth bomb. If you live for this kind of X and O meets cap sheet breakdown, hit like right now, subscribe and ring the bell. This channel is where we separate smoke from structure, and your comments literally steer our next deep dive. What would you give up? Where's your line? Depth over picks or picks over depth? Would you stomach losing a fan favorite if it meant a puncher's chance against Denver, OKC, and the Bay when it gets late? Back to business. The double timeline is not a curse if you commit to the math. For LeBron, Lauri is a battery fast. Release, deep range, corner gravity that turns a 0.8-second advantage into a layup. For the young superstar, Lauri is patience insurance. You don't need the perfect read every trip when the second side option bends reality. For AD, Lauri is a decoy who pulls the weak side big a step too far, creating slip windows that turn lobs into routine. And for the coaching staff, Lauri is a canvas. You can paint Spain, stack, Chicago, angle, elbow zoom, and actually expect all five guys to weaponize them because the floor spacing isn't theoretical. Ask yourself why the best offenses feel inevitable. It's not just talent, it's shape. The tax, again, is real. If a fan-favorite guard becomes the price, you lose. Secondary creation and late clock guts that stabilized you last spring. If a trusted forward exits, you lose a switchable defender who survived ugly games when whistles vanished. If a rookie shooter leaves, you lose cost-controlled spacing that matters in a punitive cap world. And those picks, they aren't just numbers in a future you can't see. They're trade grease later if another star shakes loose. So yes, the rumor makes your pulse race, and it should, but the front office has to love the fit enough to say, we'll recreate the lost functions with ring-chasing vets, minimum contracts that actually matter, and a scheme that manufactures looks. Let's get granular for 60 seconds. The possession within the possession. High pick and roll, empty corner to the right. The young superstar rejects left because the low man refuses to tag off Lauri in the weak side corner. One dribble and a downhill step force the nail defender to stunt from the slot. Lauri lifts from corner to wing, catch, shot, splash, timeout. Next trip, same alignment, Defense tries to top-lock Lauri. He backcuts. LeBron hits him with a bounce. Pass. Help comes. AD is waiting on the dunker spot. The rim bends. Third trip, they switch the first action. LeBron flows into a ghost screen. The two defenders hesitate, and the pull-up three is clean. This is how geometry becomes points and points become pressure on the other end. The opponents will test the weak seam. Can you survive when Lauri is the low man, when he's rotating from the corner to the rim, when he has to tag the roller and then recover 25 feet to a shooter? Scheme it. Early tags from guards, peel switches, pre-switches on the weak side, so he's not the tagger, more zone principles in dead ball sets to save legs, and relentless communication. And remember the hidden math. When you make teams take the ball out of the net, their transition rate drops, your defense sets, your fouls decline, and suddenly the holes feel smaller because chaos is gone. Here's the emotional fork in the road. Do you want a team that looks perfect on paper in October with balance up and down the rotation? Or do you want a team that terrifies in May because it has 3 actions that no one in the league can guard for 7 games? Role players win regular seasons, advantages win series. Lauri isn't the only path to that advantage, but he is a clean one. Size plus shot plus pliability. You can blend him with LeBron without ego friction. You can blend him with a heliocentric guard without usage fights, and you can blend him with AD without clogging the dunker spot. That trinity is why this rumor hits different. The final reality. Check. Nothing is signed. This lives in the universe of calls, counters, principles, and price. Intra-conference trades carry pride taxes. 3-team frameworks wobble because one domino delays and everyone gets cold feet. There are medicals, there are aggregation windows, there are minute allocation politics that beat writers never get to publish. And yes, there's the question that will keep the room honest. Are we chasing the shiny object or solving a structural problem? If the answer is structure, this rumor deserves oxygen. If the answer is shiny, walk away, keep your picks, and keep your powder dry for the next star who actually fixes the math. Zoom out. The West is a gauntlet. Denver's continuity is a weapon. OKC's depth is a blur. The Bay is recalibrating with a chip on its shoulder. Minnesota doesn't care about your feelings. Phoenix will always have a 5-minute nuke. You don't beat that with vibes. You beat it with an identity that travels. What travels? Free throws, defensive rebounding, and shots you take because the floor is wide and the reads are easy. Lauri is a travel piece. He's a quiet 22 that feels like oxygen. He is what playoff offenses pray for when possessions turn into fistfights and inches feel like miles. So here's where I land, as your guy on Lakers News. Fan report who lives and dies with this team and refuses to lie to you for algorithm points. If the number gets silly, if the outgoing package blows a hole in creation you can't backfill, if the pick commitment boxes you out of the next opportunity, you pass. But if the price sits in the smart pain tier, yes, it hurts, but it solves a shape problem you cannot fake in June, you go. You put Lauri in gold, you weaponize geometry, you let LeBron run a masterclass, you let the young superstar bend 2 defenders with a smirk, you give AD a runway, and you make every series a math test the other team hates. And if it doesn't happen, then the directive is the same. Fix the shape. Find gravity. Protect the rim with scheme, not just names. Give your stars air. Your turn, Laker Nation. Drop your line in the comments. Would you send out a fan-favorite guard and 2 firsts if it means Lauri in this system? Or is the depth too precious in a conference this mean? Where do you draw the boundary between today's banners and tomorrow's? Flexibility? Smash like if you want the front office to chase structural wins over headline wins. Subscribe if you want us to break the tape on how Lauri plus AD would torture ice coverage on the side pick and roll. And remember, rumors are smoke, but sometimes smoke is the only way you see the fire that's already lit.